Hey, what is up, guys? It's Guiltspire here, and welcome back to Champions of the Fog. Today is the beginning of round 6 for Dwight's One Locker versus We Can't Loop. We're getting the lobby built up right now, but as we do, I do want to, of course, introduce our guest host today, Fire Gems. How you doing today, Fire Gems?
I'm doing pretty good. Kind of tired, but I'm doing all right.
I feel that. I feel that. But with that being said, we've already seen these teams play plenty of times now overall. What are your thoughts? Are you excited for this match?
I am. I'm excited for this match. I actually really enjoy watching Fortnite Unlocker play because they have really good team communication.
Yeah, I haven't heard their comms in quite some time, but based on what I've seen them be able to do, they definitely seem to have stepped up their game since I was last on the team to hear what their comms looks like. So, very exciting to see them progress and grow as a team, and especially right now, to where I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're undefeated. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that is the case. I have to double check, but I'm fairly certain
I
that
want to say
Fortnite is
that's what they were talking
undefeated.
about before. I want to say they're undefeated.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if they're able to keep that up here and be able to, keep up the momentum through the final, I think, basically 2 weeks more or less. If I take a look at the schedule, yeah, we have today, we have Saturday the 31st, we have next Sunday the 1st, and then Saturday the 7th, and then, probably this weekend, if not next, I'll be scheduling out the finals between the two potential teams. Obviously, don't want to jump the gun and suggest anyone is going to get to them, but we'll probably be able to tell it be by the end of this, if not next week.
Definitely, probably.
But with that being said, looks like we are getting the lobby readied on up, and we are going to be starting up on, let's see, Torment Creek, followed by the Groaning Storehouse today. So, Torment Creek, trying to think of that map real quick off the top of my head. Definitely a lot of open areas, if I remember correctly. What are your thoughts here, as we've seen Alex the Plug kill a few times before? What do we think they're going to bring to the table?
With open space, possibly Huntress, maybe Deathslinger. I know
Well,
Deathslinger is not as
we,
optimal.
we've already seen Alex's Huntress. Remember the
Uh
bulldozer hatchets. Kind of
huh.
hard to
Bulldozer
forget.
hatchets. Yeah, I
So,
can't. I can't unsee that.
so with that being said, I don't think we'll see Huntress. Excuse me.
Bless you.
But we might see some other range-based killers. Excuse me again.
Bless
Jeez,
you.
allergies going off. So, but it looks like between Four Dwights and We Can't Loop, I do believe everything is good to go from their builds. Val Vega, if you could do me a quick favor, just confirm that for me before I switch back to Spectator. Be much appreciated.
Builds are fine.
Awesome. In that case, I'll give them the go-ahead. And we'll be jumping on into this match momentarily. Hope you guys are excited today. And kind of just a quick shout out, since we do have a bit of a shorter delay, as you guys did request. What is going on, Sky Phoenix? What is up, Dark Wolf? What is up, Kashak? And Psycho? How y'all doing today? Hopefully doing well. All right. So let's see here. We'll give a quick heads up. Could we give a quick message to Egregious? Let's let him know that though the cosmetic herself of Jill doesn't really have many issues, the rules do state that no DLC content can be used until the next season. That does include character models, just in case there are any bugs with them. Though there aren't in this case, better safe than sorry, and best to follow the rules. Thank you, thank you. Should be a pretty quick switch. Of course, they'll need to switch their perks back on, but yeah, just overall, that rule's in place in case, Nemesis came out with some game-breaking bugs. That behavior took a while to fix, and same thing with the models. Though there are very few issues that can ever happen to the models, you never know. So, best to play it safe in that regard. I think...
You really don't know what behavior, man.
Yeah, I mean, who was it? Was it Quentin? Quentin had a bug for a while to where, like, his model was janked up.
Yeah, Quentin had a bug for a little while, but But I mean, it's behavior. They mess up everything. Like, they messed up Dead Hard in the PTB.
Yeah,
It was
I'm
off
still
hard.
I'm still interested. I haven't heard much about that, and from everything that I've heard out of the PTB, I feel like Dead Hard is the only thing that I've heard people complain about thus far.
You Dead Hard, and you move like a tiny centimeter, and you're like, well, that was valuable.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Not sure if maybe it's a quote unquote updated Dead Hard or what, but one way or
If
another.
it's updated Dead Hard, I'm gonna cry.
I mean, Dead Hard's pretty strong as is. Of course, I don't think that needs a nerf, realistically speaking.
It needs to be fixed for exhaustion on the floor. You either get a really nice Dead Hard, or you just yell, I Dead Harded, and you see the exhaustion, and it goes away like, oh,
Yep.
you didn't see anything.
Yep, that does seem to be a common trend. Hence why, personally, Dead Hard is not even my top 5 best perks for survivors, just because I feel like it is so restrictive, and I feel like any killer with their Assault's going to bait out every survivor to Dead Hard until they know whether or not they have Dead Hard, and once they do, it's really difficult to play around that.
I don't recommend Dead Hard. I'm just addicted to Dead Hard. It's an abusive relationship. I don't suggest it, but it's a perk I use every day.
I do feel like that does tend to be the case. It's like, for some reason, survivors just cannot put down that perk and, like, just use Lithe. It's just so much better. Lithe and Sprint Burst.
I'm sorry, every time I use Lithe, I try to done tech, and then I just scream when they have Enduring.
I swear to God, I saw someone do that yesterday, where I saw them vault. Yeah, they vaulted, they went back to the tile, they looped back around with Lithe, and then they just died. I'm like, what were you thinking? How is that a good idea? I don't understand.
That sounds like what I would do.
Like, I just watched the aura as I'm on hook, I'm going, we're all dead, aren't we? Like, yeah, we're all dead. This sounds about right.
Oh god. I love it. I love using perks the wrong way.
Next thing you're going to tell me is you got to use Deception to fake out a locker, but then jump into it immediately and still get grabbed by the killer.
I actually have.
Oh,
I actually deceptioned a
boy.
locker before, got in that same locker, and then head on in that same locker for no reason.
Okay, at least you didn't get grabbed. If you told me you Deceptioned, jumped in for a head on, and then got grabbed, I'd be a little bit more disappointed. Alright, we are jumping on in, and it looks like a nurse. We are going to be seeing Alex the Plug's nurse today. I do not believe that Fortnite has really brought out nurse all too often, and I have watched Alex the Plug use nurse here and there, and they seem to know what the hell they're doing, and we do see that right here, as they do get a pretty quick 1-2 down on
that was really
Ward.
good. I do feel like he probably shouldn't have done that pallet.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised there that didn't result in a stun, but maybe because the fatigue animation kind of interrupted, for lack of a better term.
That's the only reason. Where they hit, and then they got fatigued, so whenever a nurse is fatigued, they can't get stunned. So
Interesting.
they negated the stun by getting fatigued and getting hit. The best thing that you could have done there was try to go for like a reverse pallet tech, which it looked like they tried to, but it didn't really work out. But the best thing you can do with the nurse is just blink on a site and avoid pallets.
Yeah, I mean, because I've definitely gotten, stunned at a pallet as a nurse before, and the worst feeling ever is you take the stun, then you take the fatigue, and it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to move on to another survivor at this point. Not really worth my time.
But yeah, like the best thing for nurse is if you're able to eat a pallet and get that hit, if they stun you, you don't get stunned.
Interesting. That's good to know. I'm surprised that Alex is going for this unhook here, as, I was expecting him to probably go for other gens, especially while Corrupt is still up in play. To me, it just makes a ton more sense, but it does pay off, as we do note that Lori did not have BT, and Alex taking that chance that Steve here also doesn't have DS and putting Steve right back in the basement. I mean, this is a smart play here. You might lose 1 or 2 gens. You know that Lori's not on one. But if you can get Steve out of the game very early, I mean, it's an aggressive play that's going to reduce resources. If these survivors were smart, honestly, I'd probably keep Ward in the basement and just say, sorry, you're dead on hook.
That's honestly the best thing that they can do, because I feel like with this nurse's playstyle, they're gonna stay around where their hook is going to be, while also patrolling like the gens around it.
I mean, yeah.
It looks like there's actually a 3-gen with this shack, so they're in a really good position.
I was about to say there's actually, I think, a 4-gen. There's the one in middle, there's
Yeah,
one on the
there's a
left,
4-gen.
there's one on the right, there's one on the back, there's a 4-gen here that Nurse can pretty much just hang around and wait out this gen. What these survivors need to be doing is have 2 people on one gen, 1 person on another, and do it far away from here. Don't keep on giving Nurse passive pressure by simply jumping off that gen, letting Ruin do its thing. I mean, at the very least, hunt down Ruin and... Wait. Did Alex not see that survivor there? Okay, cool. I saw Lori's, like, the top of her head. Like...
Yeah, I got quiet because I, like, was looking at Lori's head.
I was like, excuse me? Lori? Are you okay? So that is wore out pretty early into the game, and we do see 4 gens left. I really think that they made a mistake here by not going for the gens farther out. Yeah, it does suck that you're giving Nurse a potential 4-gen.
Oh, wait,
but
she has a really good setup. Both her totems are also in this area.
Exactly. And we do see now 1 gen go off at the very least, and I think at this point in time, if the Nurse plays smart and defends the gens and does get some quick consecutive downs, you know, they could pretty much just lock up the game. So these survivors really might just need to do as many gens as possible to kind of stop the bleeding more or less.
Yeah. What I am wondering, though, is why they brought Devour. Because they've been proxying the hooks so far. So I feel like they probably should have put something else in place with Devour with their playstyle.
I mean, we didn't know it was Devour before, but we do now. But yeah, no, I will agree. I was thinking about that earlier on the initial unhook. That why were they going for basement when they could potentially get their stacks of Devour instead? And I mean, at the end of the day, they took the chance and it paid off for them in the long run. What is really unfortunate, though, is we do see the Nurse getting quite a number of blink bugs, where they're not able to get that second blink off, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Always a painful moment when the Nurse tries for that second blink and just cannot make any distance.
And for the killer, very important to listen.
But we do see another down. Will we see Alex bringing this Felix back to the basement? And it's looking like it. They might be a little bit too far out, and so I think Alex is going to play it a bit safe
they're
here.
Too far out. Felix would wiggle out.
Yeah, it's like it would have been very aggressive to do so, but we do see Lori back over here, as we did see blood on the ground. And as we see blood on the ground, Alex smells blood and water, and will
really
go for the down.
That was a really solid turn.
And at this point, it all comes down to whether or not Unbreakable's in play. If there's Unbreakable on Lori, for example, then they could potentially make a recovery, but if Alex gets this last down on Ace, then it will be game over.
Unless one of them copies.
True, that there is that possibility. In fact, there is even the possibility of a Deliverance in play, but it does look like Iverson does have the Unbreakable and/or Soul Guard.
Soul Guard. Oh, I love Soul Guard. It's so underrated.
It is, but unfortunately, I think Alex, if he knows what's going on here, should already know that Lori does not have BT, so I'm really surprised they didn't go for Egregious. Especially where, if in instance he puts Lori on hook, that could mean that Egregious could go for the hatch at this point in time.
Yeah, but they still have to wait for the Ace to Kobe and then go through 2 skill checks.
True. It's a gamble, though. It's a huge gamble. Hatch hasn't spawned, so no one knows where it is.
It hasn't spawned, but there is still that texturing where you know where Hatch will be.
True. There is. If you do end up running over, you kind of get that little bit of elevation. But you know, we haven't really seen that. It does look like Iverson does have Deliverance, and I imagine.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's gone
so
now.
yeah, there's no BT, so Ace gonna go down here.
The only that could have DS possibility.
I imagine Iverson probably has DS.
I feel like I hope Ace does, because Iverson can't. They used Deliverance and then they
exactly
someone.
So at this point, Iverson doesn't have DS. They didn't have BT. Like, it was a last-ditch effort, but you know, unfortunately, it didn't exactly work out as well as they hoped. So the only person who could have DS was Ace. He doesn't, as we see here, which means that we're kind of back into the same exact scenario that we were before, and this in turn allows Nurse to actually get more points than they would have if they would have gone for the progressions instead. So really difficult situation here for the survivors, and I think at this point, you know, Alex has pretty much just kind of locked up this match.
Yeah.
And it's now on Egregious to potentially stop the bleeding by maybe getting an escape, trying to shore up their points. But at the very least, Alex with what is going to be a 3K 10 hook, it looks like.
Maybe 4K, because they did just intel their location.
They did give some intel. We do see scratch marks in the back, but Alex seems to be kind of hesitant to kind of go for that. You know, he hasn't gotten line of sight, so I think he's going to take a step back and just wait for these hooks to kind of progress and at least secure the win here and ensure that there's no way out. And at the end of the day, Egregious making the right play by just sitting on gens, because that's still getting them more points and at least keeping the score as close as possible for their killer next match to try and bring it back.
Yeah. Oh, they're spotted.
Unfortunately, it does look like Egregious may have gotten a little bit overzealous here, as we do see them going down at the hands of Alex.
I will say, this build they have is pretty nice, but I feel like, personally, I would have replaced Devourer with Undying or Throw, just based on their playstyle.
Yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, Undying would have definitely made a lot of sense, but Pop being a backup perk, which we never did get to see because Ruin was just not ever cleansed. The Devour Hope is still a really good perk, and if an instance that, you know, they were very much chase heavy and did not sit on that first hook, then they would have gotten that value, but, you know, one way or another, they came out winning on the end.
Very true.
So, as we do see here, it looked like Iverson did have DS, but because they went for the unhook, they deactivated DS, they used up their deliverance, and it just kind of all fell apart in that moment.
That is a good build, though. Unbreakable, Deliverance,
It
DS,
is. I am surprised.
That's why they farmed at the start.
I am surprised, though, that there wasn't a BT there. As we see here on these Survivor builds, there's only one BT. Iverson could have arguably had also BT instead of Sprint Burst, and that could have actually saved the game multiple times over.
Honestly, they could have done, I would have probably done Soul Guard instead of Unbreakable.
I mean,
just
Soul
because
Guard,
there's a lot of ruins in play.
There is, I will say that, but depending on the killer, like a Freddy, like a Blight, like a Billy, even Nurse, I'd argue, you need to cleanse those totems ASAP. And so I would make the argument that using Soul Guard, though a gamble, if you're looking to cleanse that ruin, you know, right at the beginning of the game, Soul Guard loses all of that value, where Unbreakable really does retain that over time.
True, but you would still have, that immunity if you got picked up.
True, but we don't really see many pickups, right?
True.
So that's a question to be had there, to say the least.
Definitely.
But we are going to be getting into this next match. This time, We Can't Loop will be the one killing. And let's take a look and see who the killer is. Looks like it is DJ, or Dashy to be exact, who will be killing for We Can't Loop. So very curious to see what they bring to the table here. And let's see about getting into a match with them as soon as possible. But so far, you know, GG, well played to Alex the Plug on that Nurse match. Really did command the respect of those survivors. And just want to get a quick update, Vile, Vega. What was the points at the end of that match?
We Can't Loop with 14, with 4 Twice 1 Locker having 52. And that match, no third hook was applied.
So a lot of progressions, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you can secure those kills, that really is what matters. As I say a lot of times over, it's not always about ensuring that you get as many points as possible, that ensuring that your opponents get as few points as possible. And I think we definitely saw that in play here with Alex, you know, just waiting out those hook states time and time again. But with that being said, Vega, if you could do me a quick favor, just make sure that We Can't Loop has added me. I did send a friend request to Dashy, I do believe, on Steam. They may have not received it yet, as I do not see them on my friends list. It would be
I think
much
that
appreciated.
you just got an invite from Dashy.
Did I get an invite?
I saw it pop up.
Oh, I did. Yep, thank
I'm
you.
not crazy! I thought I was going insane.
I'm looking at like 10 different screens. I have my screen here on my daily, I have here on stream, I have Discord open, whole 9 yards.
Don't worry, I'll just be your eyes. I see something glowing and shiny. What's that? What's over there?
Fair. Well, let's give a quick invite to those survivors over on Fort Whitson Locker, and let's see if they can, hold their own in comparison to We Can't Loop's killer, because at this point, the pressure really is on Dashi to try and shorten that lead that Fort Whites has now. Because if they're unable to accomplish that, then it's just going to end up into a scenario to where, the lead will just be expanded on. And it's going to be very much almost reminiscent of yesterday's match with Torment versus Cerebral Assassins, I believe it was, where we saw something very similar to where that first match is very commanding lead. Second match closed it up a little bit, but still, kept that 34-point lead. And once it got to the third match, it ended there and, just kind of shut down Cerebral Assassins on the fourth match, giving Torment the win.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see here for sure.
Indeed, it will be very interesting.
But we're going to confirm everyone's builds real quick, and once that does happen, we should be good to go. Once again, we'll be on Torment Creek for the first match, and then we'll be moving on to, I believe it is not Gas Heaven, I'm blanking out on it. It is Groaning Storehouse. It's like, I know it starts with a G. Gas, Groaning, Close but no
enough.
cigar. Close but no cigar. All right. Well, everything's looking good on the killer side. And now we're waiting on Fort White's Locker for their survivor builds. Currently have 1 out of 3. So once we receive those, we'll be able to go right in. So if you were We Can't Loop, Fort White's Locker just brought out a nurse, what would you be bringing in return?
Honestly, I'm not sure, but based on that map, I know Hag would be good. Hag can be good.
Hag wouldn't be bad, especially if you're using like the Dried Cicada, that range extension moving from like, I think it's 40 to like 48 meters with Dried Cicada. Wouldn't be a bad idea. We saw that really strong 4-gen. The question is whether or not that 4 or 3-gen is consistent time and time again. That's the real question, right?
Yeah. But even if it's not, there's not a lot of loops in the Cold Wind maps. So get rid of pallets and you can still keep pressure with Hag.
That's true. That is a fair point. So it will be very interesting here, to say the least, on what they determine to bring in. I don't know, though. Like, I am questioning whether or not it would be a good idea to bring Hag here. Though good, and she's definitely what I refer to like a top A-tier killer. I'm just not sure if, she is the one that you want to rely on. Especially if We Can't Loop, which I do believe they do have some S-tier killers available to them. I would not be surprised to see something like that come out here.
We should definitely see a face camping Bubba.
I imagine you'd probably see that. I mean, we kind of got a proxying / camping nurse last game, so, maybe it'd be just desserts.
Get a face camping Bubba. All he does is nod.
I know a few players in COTF who would probably do that. Let's be real. But I do.
But it has to be like grandma.
Grandma Bubba, gotcha. See, I personally like the regular Bubba head, and then the grandma apron kind of looks a bit nice, better than the wet apron. But just want to confirm with Vega real quick: are the builds good to go?
Checking one thing really quick.
Yep, no worries. Once we get a go-ahead, then we'll be able to give the green light for the survivors and killers alike, and we'll be jumping into our second match. This time We Can't Loop on the killer side.
I am honestly really intrigued to see where they are going to pick, because there is a handful of killers that are actually good on these maps.
Yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, an S tier can pretty much be brought on any map for the most part. The Blight's a bit of an exception. What was that, Vega?
Blight and Corn don't go.
And we are okay.
Awesome. In that case, I'll give them the go-ahead. And it'll be on them to ready on up.
I loved the spelling guilt. Me too.
I always, it's a horrible habit now. Back when I was like learning how to type or typing a lot, I always had my hands in the right position to type. But now because I do nothing but gaming, my hands are always going directly to WASD, and I start typing like, oh yeah, so let me caps lock everything. This sounds wonderful.
R-E, capital A, D, capital Y.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, okay. That's
That's
how
just
that
me
works,
when I'm
apparently.
trying to type really quickly to a friend, and they're just like, oh, well, that didn't make sense. It's fine.
Alright, but we are loaded on in. I don't imagine that'll take too long for us to find out who we can't loop is bringing. And I am curious on another thing, is what the strategy for Forward One Locker will be here. We saw basically 2 days in a row now a similar strategy of get the first person on hook, get them out of the game. I wonder if Forward Whites is going to recognize that pattern and start just sitting on gens and just letting the first person on hook go to second hook. And if that happens and then killer's nearby, then so be it. I honestly think that might be the play to go.
I agree. If you're gonna have a proxy camping killer, like in a tournament, let that person go. It's not really that big of a loss. Do gens get points? That's an attorney standpoint. If this was a real match, you know me. I'll just run at the hook. It's fine.
That is true. That is true. I've seen it on a number of occasions. But we are jumping on in, and we see a spirit.
Spirit with pretty nails.
I mean, yeah, I guess kind of. You know, maybe a little bit grimy. They are painted, I think more in blood than anything else, let's be real.
It's fine, they look beautiful. She's stunning.
Well, stunning might come up here, but unfortunately it does not look like Felix is able to get that pallet stun, however. And Spirit here is probably going to be going for Felix and faking the phase walk and then moving. Trying to pay attention to that corner where Felix is going. And almost lost him there for a second, but does get the down. I will say, however, Ruin went down pretty quick, and I think against a Spirit or any S-tier killer, getting Ruin gone quick is a very smart play, especially with what other perks could be run here. So, what are your thoughts here? You know, you're talking about a handful of killers being really good in this situation. Do you think Spirit was the right choice?
Based on their playstyle so far, I feel like because they're comfortable with this character, it may have been the right choice.
Okay.
Like, when it comes to looping here, you can do a lot of mind games with your phase walking. As I said before, there's not a lot of loops, and there's a lot of corn.
Yep. Now, that makes perfect sense to me.
This could work for them.
Yeah, it could definitely work for them. I will say they did get a very close pop there, as we did see that go off in that instance. And I'm surprised that they did not go back for the unhook sooner than that, because, you know, now that they got gens at 270%, they can probably tell now that Tinker's in play. So I'm very surprised that they didn't do that sooner, and now they are risking Felix here going up onto second hook. He's not able to get to something, anything, to try and save him, and he is just in a dead zone of dead zones.
You see what I mean now? This map is actually trash.
No, it's really bad around those outskirts. It's why on this side of main building, you just do not want to be here if you can help it. But the good news is, you know, these survivors are still making really good progress and ensuring that they're able to get 1-2 gens off. And though that was a relatively short chase, they're still capitalizing off of the situations at hand.
But yeah, whenever it comes to that map, if I'm in that area, you're just gonna hear screaming.
Yeah, I can see why, honestly. And Spirit really dedicating time to these unhooks. And I think that if these survivors are smart, they're just going to pay attention to this and go, okay, let's sit on gens.
It seems like what is going on in the Spirit's head is, I'm going to keep track on this hook, and when they get unhooked, I'm going to go for them, just get pop value. All I can do is get pop value and just keep popping gens with this one person's life. Yeah,
I mean, that is a fair play. And we do see these survivors, you know, really going for these gens nearby the hook, and I think that's a smart play because it means that the Spirit has to make a choice and goes, okay, I'm going to commit to the camp, or am I going to go for the gen? The only unfortunate part is, for the survivors in that area, they're 110% within her territory. This means they do not hear the phase walk start, which is going to be really difficult for them to work around.
Very true, but they might be able to get that gen.
Yep, and we did see, I believe, 2 people on that. I think we saw Claudette and Feng Min, and I don't think the Spirit saw that, so we might see that gen pop off behind them if they're not careful.
in my opinion, that was a poor play on the Spirit. Like, camping that hook was a bad play. Because they were doing a gen, like, right next to them that was getting a lot of progress, and now they've lost a gen.
And not to mention that, but it's also a part of their 3-gen or 4-gen that they had prior and no longer have access to. To be fair, you know, they still have a cluster of gens based on what we have seen that should allow these survivors, or allow the Spirit rather, to apply a lot of good pressure, as we see that really tight cluster right there.
Yeah.
So honestly, if I was Spirit, I would sit in the middle of these 3 gens and just not allow them to touch gens as much as possible.
That is the best thing that they can do right now, especially because right now they only have 2 hooks.
3 hooks to be exact. 2 hooks, 1 progression, or technically.
Yeah, but they have 2 perks.
Oh, 2 perks. Oh, I thought I said hooks.
Tinker and Pop.
Yeah, so...
And so it can be really rough.
That is true, and they're really in a tough position here, as, you know, in order to get any gen regression, they're going to need to hook survivors. And, you know, in that time, they're just going to have to hope that they don't see a Tinker proc before getting that down.
Exactly. So, bright side is where their gens are. I might be a little angry as a Spire player, but like where the gens are, there's like no palace, man.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a gen that's close by to Meat Tree, and that will be some good value. They have a few pallets out there. But fact of the matter is, they're going to suffer from that same thing that I mentioned earlier, to where they're going to be very close to Spirit at all times. And because of that, they're not going to hear the phase walk. And so if they're on gens and they're not careful and, you know, paying attention to where Spirit is or where she's going, they're not going to know to jump off the gens at the right points in time to avoid getting grabbed.
Which can be very frustrating.
It can be, but I think these survivors are doing a smart thing here.
They're really gonna go for any gen grabs or attempts to.
Yeah, it looks like they're just gonna take their time, kind of...
Yeah, they're more focused on, let me look into this Claudette's soul. Okay, and I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, it looks like Ace here is going to go for the unhook, but I think there's a bit late to do so, because they're going to try and fake out the grab, but all Spirit needs to do in this moment is sit and wait. They need another survivor here. Good blind, but they still get the Ace down. Now the question is, does Ace have Deliverance? Because if so, and they're able to get that safe unhook, that will at least ensure that Claudette does not go to second stage.
Safe unhook should be procced now, so they should have gotten it. Even though it technically wasn't safe, but...
Correct.
You know, that's what DVD first.
Oof.
Oh!
That
was
Poco
rough, buddy. That's rough, buddy. All I can say to that.
That is a Poco sip, but we do see an Unbreakable, and we see a Repressed Alliance.
Perk. Yes, Repressed Alliance. I was waiting for someone... it's so...
It's a very good perk when used right, but the hard part is that gen is now as progressed as any other gen in the match. And really, now that is surprising. That is a DS off the Claudette. I was expecting DS to be on Ace, but maybe that was a play on the Survivor side to kind of mind game that, for lack of better terms.
Though I feel... So, Repressed Alliance was good there. It saved that gen. But, with having Pop in mind... I feel like they probably had comms with Claudette. Claudette was like, I decisive, don't worry about your gen, repress it now.
Yep.
Where, if they didn't have DS, he would have had to repress that gen when the Spirit was coming to it.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. But now, Spirit, once again, kind of just sitting here on this gen, trying to get it regressing as much as possible. We do see Ace here kind of trying to take some, you know, aggro. And realistically speaking, all Dashy is doing is kind of hitting, letting them go, and then moving on to gens, which I think is the right move here. You know, just trying to whittle down these survivors' health states as much as possible and to avoid them getting as much progress. But all the survivors need to do, realistically speaking, is go for the gens, force Spirit out of her 3-gen, heal up, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. Yeah, she's going to bop the gens, but it's a very slow regression in comparison to what Pop would give her if you don't take the time to heal.
Indeed.
So all I would do is take a hit, 2, do exactly that, heal up. We do see Sprint Burst here on Feng Min, obvious enough based on her walking away. And I think that Claudette's going to be back on a gen. I think we see a Tinker proc coming up.
The best gen, yes. The best gen that Claudette could get on is the main building gen.
Yeah, I don't think they have touched that yet, so I bet you that has probably almost fully regressed at this point in time.
Which, rest in peace, that beautiful, sexy progress it had. Rest in peace, all of that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and Spirit really going down for the hunt now, trying to go for this Claudette. Will she get to a pallet or something here soon, but...
That pallet is still up. Oh, never mind.
It was still down from an earlier chase, and because of that, Claudette was able to get some good distance. She could play Meat Tree here, and we do see Ace coming around. Not sure why he's going around that long side, maybe going for a body block, potentially, would be my only thought process.
I thought Claudette was going to go for that long wall. And if you go for the long wall, like, in that area, you can get a fast fall still. Like, when you're running, you go around the long wall, you angle yourself and you fast fall out. I thought she was gonna angle herself, fast fall out, and then go to Meat Tree. But she didn't, and I'm really confused.
Yeah, I would have expected Meat Tree rather than trying to replay that tile. I think that would have been the right move, because you have a pallet, you have a vault. It's really hard for Spirit to work around. But now she's back up on hook, and Spirit, once again, in the similar position where she was before, to where she can just kind of choose what gen she wants to pop, sit, watch it regress, wait for these survivors to attempt an unhook, and go from there.
I do really feel like the best play that Claudette could have done there was that long wall, angle yourself at that window, fast fall it out, go to tree.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree there. And we do see 20 seconds off of that generator that they had pretty well progressed. We do see them pressuring main building again. But once again, Spirit just able to kind of hold down the fort, and now they have every single survivor injured. Honestly, you know, it's hard to make a decision here on what to do. Whether you kind of sit back in these gens and play the long game, or you kind of pursue a survivor at this point and stop the group heal.
And what I'm noticing is, even if it comes down to one survivor, I don't think they're going to get out, because Spirit 100% knows where Hatch is.
Yep. So it's gonna be a tough call here to what happens. I still think the survivors have a potential to get maybe a 2-man out. 3-man out might be pushing it, but 2-man out, yeah. I will say, if they are paying attention where Spirit is patrolling, they might note that Spirit has not actually gone for that back gen at all this entire time. So if I was them, I might just jump back there, kind of go around all the way behind main building, and go to that gen on the right-hand side. We now finally see her kind of taking a peek, but it's taken her quite a while to do so.
Honestly, if I was playing this, like, you know, my build, Sponge Resilience. I would have probably already been on that back area, and I probably would have already let myself get hit, because she likes to hit and run. I would have had myself probably 99 Resiliencing a gen by now.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing a very hit-and-run style tactic, because she's ensuring that she's making sure that doesn't happen. If there's 2 survivors on that one gen right now, Spirit only has 8 seconds to get there, and those 8 seconds are coming up quick, so they might just get that gen.
That main gen was probably the best one.
1 people or 2 people, they need to take hits. No! What are you doing?
No! Sorry,
if they would have committed to 2 people there, if they would have called out, hey, this gen's about 70%.
I'm sorry, that was beautiful.
Oh, that is so painful to see. Because all they needed to do was to let the person stay on hook, commit to 2 people on that gen, even if Tinker, they have 8 seconds to get it, take 2 hits, get the gen done, and call it a day.
Dude, this hurt. That hurt me so badly.
I feel like
I was ruined when Ace was crouching in the court.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But I feel like both these teams right now are having, for lack of a better term, commitment issues. The Spirit's not committing to chases, and the survivors are not committing to gens. And it is resulting.
Fast enough.
Yeah, it's resulting in a very, very long game here. And like, I respect the play because both of them are playing a game of attrition. But I feel like Spirit at this point in time could just go for the kill, especially if Feng Min and Claudette on Death Hook. You know, all they need to do. Actually, no. I think it's just. Is it Claudette? Yeah, Claudette's on Death Hook.
Claudette's on Death Hook. I think Ace might be. No,
Ace has not been hooked at all.
He's not hooked at all.
Yeah, Ace has not been hooked at all.
Yeah.
So I think it's Claudette on Death Hook, Feng Min on first hook.
Take a hook state, but also taking a hook state would be good.
Well, I'm pretty sure he should take a hook state for multiple reasons. We haven't seen a Deliverance's match, and unless that first survivor was the one with Deliverance, I'm betting you that Ace does. And with that in mind, you know, I'm willing to say...
He might be waiting for an end game play.
Maybe, maybe commit to Gen, you know, take the hook state and call it a day then. But
Yeah, take a hook state, like have the other person do a gate, get out, and he deliverance to hatch.
okay, so here's Tink. There's 2 people. Okay, they committed to 2 people this time. Who is Spirit gonna go for? Ace or Feng Min? Ace. I think that's the wrong chase. Nope, going back to the Gen.
You baited.
Yep, going back to the Gen, but it's above 70. Pretty well above 70, probably by 4 seconds. Ace crouching around that main building. I'm not sure if anyone saw that.
Like 90%.
Yeah, and Ace right there to Gen tap real quick. And honestly,
Me too, Ace.
this is a play here. If Spirit just keeps on going to bop the Gen and Ace goes back to Gen tap and just harass the Spirit as much as possible.
What they need to do, Luma and Ace, both Gen tap. Take turns Gen tapping the hell out of that Gen.
Yep. Exactly. No, if you do that, that allows other survivors to work on other gens and really puts the Spirit into a very awkward position of, do I give up this Gen or another Gen? And we see that 9-9 sprint burst coming into play, and Ace once again attempting to come back, but not able to make it in time.
Luma, you gotta tap it. I believe in you.
Yeah, but we do see, like I was saying, that Claudette now on that Gen, and I bet you Ace and Feng Min back on the Gen in main building, and Spirit already thinking about that in the back of the mind as they do see scratch marks and going, okay, now I need to go back and kick it again, and rinse, repeat, because I don't think they're going to get a Tinker Proc again on this Gen.
Oh!
Okay.
Oh!
No, it was too early.
Oh,
it was too early on the flashlight.
Oh, that hurt me inside.
That's painful.
I knew when she started doing it, it was too early. That's why I was like crying inside. If you want to do, so for everyone that wants to know, if you want to do a locker here, if you want to do a Gen grab save, you have to wait for the survivor to be thrown onto the shoulder, and the killer will do a noticeable head tilt. It's like a normal flashlight save. When they do that head tilt, that's when you flashlight save for the on the generator, and you will always get a save.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm not a master of flashlight saving, so I can't really speak much myself, but interesting play by the Feng Min there. I'm not sure why she waited so long to vault. Maybe she thought it was still up and not down. But if I was Claudette at this point, I would be on an exit gate. Just sit, get an exit gate 99, and GTFO. Like, at this point, it's great and all that you might want to save your teammates, but, like, get these exit gates open ASAP.
Spirit had no hair.
Yeah, sometimes that happens with that cosmetic specifically.
Yeah, that... I was like, oh, she's gonna do it! I'm so sad. I'm actually devastated by Luma.
Yeah, it was definitely unfortunate to say the least, and we do see Fear the Dark Wolf with that Deliverance play. And I think they can probably get a 2-man out here if they play this right. And of course, Spirit's going to be slugging for the most part. And so there's one exit gate open. Dark Wolf going back in.
I told you, he wants to do an endgame Deliverance play.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out well for them, but now they have a bit of a tricky situation. If I was Dark Wolf, I would leave. If I was Dark Wolf, I would leave because Spirit is going to be on the way, and if they mess this up, they're going to lose a ton of points. Spirit is phase walking.
Okay, Ace just needs to leave. One of them might be able to crawl a hatch while the other one gets hooked, but either way, the killer touches.
Yep, they made a mistake, and now if they pick up Dark Wolf, as we did see there, no Unbreakable, and that's going to be the match.
I feel like they shouldn't have had balance. I feel like the build should have been DS Unbreakable. Like, as everyone calls it, the skull dick build. I have Deliverance, I have Unbreakable, I have DS.
I mean, it is good, but it's also a cute way to mind game. And I'll say it for myself, is that if I see someone for broken status effect, I will refuse to pick them up if I can help it, because I assume that DS is in play. Of course, Spirit already knows DS was out of the game at this point in time, so a bit of a moot point. But I think that if I was Dark Wolf, I would have said, okay, we're not going to be able to win this match. Let's just get some additional points.
I would have told my team, I don't think any of y'all recovered. I don't have Dead Hard to get out. I'm just gonna peace. Yep.
No, it would have widened or at least kept that gap in points between the first match and this match, because though I will say Fortnite did get more gens than Dashi, it depends on how many progressions and hooks there were to, you know, see what the score will end up being.
Indeed. I do feel like if he had Dead Hard, that would have been alright what he was doing. But, like, he had no way to get distance to get away, so I don't understand your mindset on that play.
I think they may have just been under pressure and going, okay, we want a 2-mana, we want a 2-mana out. And it's like, it's great and all to think that, but sometimes you just need to cut your losses, and I feel like, you know, that will be a lesson that they're going to take away from this match here. But with
they got punished hardcore.
Yeah, they did. No doubt about that. But with that being said, we'll be moving on to our next match. I do believe Dashi will be killing again. Of course, we were still going
good round
to...
of those survivors, though.
Say again?
Into that killer. Still good round.
Oh yeah, still a really good round by Survivors. They played smart. They played well. Honestly, between the missed flashlight save and the miss on the leaving out the exit gate, I feel like they could have done a lot better towards the end. But like them eking out that pressure bit by bit really did work for them in the end.
I agree.
But with that being said, I do believe now we'll be moving over to the Groaning Storehouse, where I believe Dashi is going to continue to be killer, and I doubt, but never know, whether or not these survivors are going to be switching out. Maybe someone is a little bit tilted after that match, needs to cool off. I can always see that happening once in a while.
Maybe Mac. He's been waiting in match for a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Mac wasn't the one who died first. That was Felix. Felix was the one to die first, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Felix got assaulted.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that, like I said, that is now, we saw that yesterday. We saw that 2 matches today where that first hook, if they don't have DS or the person coming for them doesn't have BT and doesn't take a body block on top of which, we're seeing that first person on hook go on hook immediately after. And so I think that survivors, as we're seeing this becoming more and more of a trend, are going to have to keep that in mind and go, okay, BT's not enough anymore. The killer's just going to wait it out. We're going to have to not just do that, but also body block, give them distance, and try and spread out the hook states as much as possible.
Indeed.
So at the end of that match, Vega, as we are waiting for these builds to come on in, what are the points now at the end of that match?
We are at 72 to 67.
72 to 67? Who has what?
4-2-8's one locker is in favor.
Okay, so they are 72 to 67, so it's now a 5-point difference. So Ford Dwight's still able to keep that lead in the end with those extra generators, but as I mentioned, those additional hook points versus progression points really do help out the We Can't Loop in trying to bridge that gap. So it's going to come down to this, whether or not what team will come out in front, or maybe we see a draw, maybe we see a 2K6 hook, and it really comes down to that final killer match. So, seeing all this, knowing that we're going to the Guardian Storehouse, we've seen a nurse, we've seen a spirit. With this match being as close as it is, if you're Dashi, once again, what are you going to be bringing?
Oh, that's a hard question. That's a really hard question. I'm not sure. Maybe, I gotta think about that for a second.
I mean, Groaning Storehouse, pretty RNG heavy map, right?
That's why I'm like, I gotta think about it.
If I wanted to play it safe, I might use a killer with a shred ability, or someone who has good anti-loop, because in this scenario, you are either going to get a dead zone in the middle with no pallets, or you're going to get pallet hell, where you're going to be in that middle area for the majority of the game, especially because most killers are not wanting to venture into the pockets, where, most times you're just going to give up that 1 and 2 gen in the pocket, keep main building, keep those middle gens, and kind of work the outskirts, so you're really only patrolling 5 gens, giving those survivors the other 2.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see a Blight.
A Blight. I could see it. Blight's not bad on this map. I've seen Regard play it a number of times, so I could definitely see Blight. I could also see Bubba, potentially. Like I said, if you wanted to play it safe with shred ability, I could see a Bubba.
Demo? I've seen Demo do good and do terribly.
Yeah.
Maybe Demo.
I like Demo, and people say all the time that I'm a bit too harsh on Demo. As much as I love Demo in theory, the biggest thing is Demo suffers from the same thing that Oni does in a way, because Demo's usually paired to save the best for last, and Demo's only as good as how many hits he is able to get on non-obsessions, because he's able to get like 7, 8 stacks, and he can M1 into a shred almost instantaneously, and that shortens those chases really well. But otherwise, Demo just becomes that 115 killer that has a shred ability that kind of saves you a bit of distance, but not as much distance as some others.
Indeed. Another one that's iffy is Pig, like on this map.
Yeah.
I've seen pigs do really well, and I've seen pigs do terribly.
I mean, that's Pig in general. Pig, much like
Yeah.
Oni, much like Demo, suffers from one thing, is that's initial chase. If you're not able to get that initial chase before the first gen pops, you're kind of hurting. Not to mention, Pig is really great as long as Ruin is up. Once Ruin is gone, it's a really hard place to be, because though you have survivors off of gens, now you need to go around and make sure they're popped or bopped and regressing. Whereas when Ruin's up and they're off gens trying to scramble and get their bear traps off, you have a lot of passive pressure going on. But I do believe the builds look good. Just want to confirm with File Vega whether or not the killer and survivor builds are good to go.
Also, what was the score? I missed it.
It is 72 to 67 in Fort Dwight's One Locker's favor.
Okay. Thank you.
And what are you saying about the perks? They look good to go?
Yep, just double checking right now with add-ons for killer.
Yep, all good, all good. Yeah, the rule book is a bit hefty when it comes to killer with what add-ons are or are not allowed. I do believe, based on what I saw, that it should be good, but, you know, not to give many hits. I know that, you know, there have been changes to the rules regarding this killer a few times over, so better safe than sorry, to say the least.
You know, I might just be a little biased, but I really want to see a Michael or a Ghostface. Like, no one plays them in tourneys because it's very, like, it depends on what map you get. But I would love to see a good stealth killer.
I believe, who was it? I think it was Milkshake Mafia versus How Did We Get Here? They did play a Ghostface. Myers, I think, was also used. No, Myers was not used that game, but Ghostface is rough. Ghostface is arguably one of the better stealth-based killers for the sheer fact that he's able to get out of cloak instantaneously. He doesn't have any, you know, notification that he's about to come out of it and hit you like Wraith, but Wraith has that speed that really backs him up. I don't know.
He also has Ghost.
Say again?
Wraith also has Ghost, which will hide your red stain, which is really good.
That is true. That is true. But once again, that bell, you know, that's a dead giveaway in most cases, and most people can also hear the snarling.
And silent bell is also not allowed, if I remember right.
Correct. There are no Eries available, so most people, I'd imagine, if they're going to use a bell modifier, would be Bone Clapper, but even that is kind of iffy at times. So
I think when we saw Wraith, they had Ghost on. But that was
potentially.
A while ago.
Potentially. But we are loading on into this match on the Gurney Storehouse for match 3 of 4 Dwight's One Locker versus We Can't Loop. Very excited to see what killer they do bring. And Dashy is going to be bringing...
Yeah. Sorry. I saw a timer, and I immediately was disgusted. I was very
It is Mr. Fredboy. Here to teach these survivors how to jump rope.
I gotta go and install DBD now.
And I want to mention something, though. So I see their add-ons, and add-ons are not covered and not hidden for a killer. I'm interested to see, obviously, there's Nancy's Masterpiece, which is a auto-include in my opinion. I'm surprised not to see... Okay, Dashy, maybe taking a quick break there.
I was so confused.
You know, I'm surprised that they brought Bottle of Pills and not Nancy's sketch for that increased teleportation time, or charge time, rather.
True.
So I'm a little bit surprised in that regard. You know, Bottle of Pills, really good for situations to where, you know, they're not asleep and they can't see you already while you have someone on your shoulder, but, you know, the survivors already know you're there, so it's kind of a moot point.
A pill, I will say, pills have screwed me up a few times, though. Because, you know, I go for flashlight saves. Nothing is more devastating than going for a flashlight save and the person vanishing in you that you're trying to blind.
That's fair, that's fair. The fun part is that you can always note when they're using the pill bottle, however, is that you can still see their shadow if the map has enough light. So if you can base it off of that, you still can know their general location.
I had a really devastating one. I was flashlight saving my friend Calico, and we were on this map actually. And right as I turned the corner, pill bottle activated, and Calico was like, "Why are you aiming at the fedora?" It's like, I don't know.
It can be rough sometimes, it can be rough, but these survivors are playing smart. It is very common for Freddy to have Tinker, so I think they assume that right away, which, if that's the case, and they know that to be the case, of course, if I was them, I would 110% be doubling up on every single generator.
And early blind clip?
I think just more or less harassing Freddy. And Kashak really playing well here. We do see another Tinker, and Freddy needs to make a choice. Do they go for that second Tinked gen, or do they commit to the chase, without Ruin? Yeah, without Ruin, they're kind of in a tough spot. Tink is great for info, but if you're not able to get these downs with pop in hand, you're in a tough spot.
Does this Felix have Dead Hard? Because how aggressive he's playing, I feel like he should have.
No, he doesn't have Dead Hard. He's just going to waste as much time as possible, which, honestly, if you're in a dead zone at this point, it's the best play you can make.
2 gens.
Yep, 2 gens during that time. First down. And it looks like they're hitting all of the Dream Snares early, which is kind of a smart play. Of course, Freddy did get nerfed to where he has fewer Dream Snares, and it also reduces speed when using them. So kind of triggering them in a way that you would trigger Hag traps might not be a bad idea to remove potential resources in the game for Freddy.
Indeed, indeed.
But, once again, Dashi, taking the time to kind of sit by the hook. If I'm survivors, sit on generators, wait for the Tink, come in for the unhook once he teleports.
I knew he was gonna fake that. I would have committed to that generator. Biggest thing about Freddy's is they love to fake teleport.
Oh, 100%. If you're not faking teleports throughout the match, especially while Ruin is up in play, you're doing something wrong.
There was actually one time where I had a Freddy fake teleport, and the next time they actually teleported, and I still didn't get off the gen, and I was doing a gen inside of them.
Freddy probably found that to be a bit of a gutsy move, to say the least.
No one said I didn't get grabbed.
Fair.
But the gen got done, because I thought it was someone.
That is fair, and we do see the unhook here, and a very nice firecracker play. Didn't really get much value, mind you, but still, pretty good play nonetheless. And Freddy looks like to be waiting out that BT on Felix. The question is, does Felix have Decisive Strike this time round?
Fingers crossed.
Well, let's find out.
Stab him in the neck.
The thing is here is that if Fear the Dark Wolf once again has Deliverance, would make a lot of sense. Deliverance BT, you get the safe unhook. They stop them out of getting out of second stage. There's the Unbreakable play. Almost without a doubt, I believe they have Deliverance. Unfortunately, wait. They did not. Oh, they didn't get in time for the second stage.
Yeah, he went to second stage as he was unhooked. That's why I was like, stab him, stab him.
Gotcha. See, I missed that, but Freddy's gonna still sacrifice a gen here. We saw that Tinker in the background, and he has only 16 seconds to get to it. About 10 of those are already up. We're gonna see a gen pop in just about 3 seconds here. And that could potentially mean a 3-man out if they play smart. If Fear the Dark Wolf has Deliverance, hold that Deliverance until that gen is done, until this Freddy is away from the exit gate. Jump on the exit gate with DS in hand, and you're pretty much guaranteed to get out. Claudette kind of looping a bit too close for comfort, in my opinion.
Yeah, Claudette, get a hell away. Go away.
And I'm surprised we didn't see that gen pop either.
Where's Luma?
Let's take a look. Luma on that gen 99.
Luma's just vibing.
Maybe he was kind of trying to wait it out, see if Freddy was going to come to that gen since it was Ting, try and grab him away from Dark Wolf, maybe?
Does Dark Wolf have Decisive? I need to know.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out.
I'm so concerned.
So last time, Dark Wolf had Deliverance, but did not have Decisive.
Yeah. Last time they had Deliverance, they had Unbreakable.
So there's the Deliverance. I think we already saw the Unbreakable. I imagine with Deliverance, you had BT. Now, will they change it up here, and will they have DS
really
on
hope
Dark
he
Wolf?
Change it up and put on Decisive.
I mean, that would be a really good mind game, right? First
not,
round...
My poor little boy, why didn't you put Decisive on?
I mean, first round, you don't put it on. Second round, you do put it on. Killer then makes the decision. Do I pick up? Do I not pick up? Once again, in my opinion, if they're broken, I just simply don't pick up. That simple. Let's see what Dashi decides to do. Honestly, if I was 4 Dwights Unlocked here, get the 2-man out, tie up the game, and call it a day.
It looks like they're scared of the DS.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what they're doing. They're going to wait out until Dark Wolf no longer has a broken stat. And I think that they already used their Unbreakable, so I don't think they're able to get themselves back up. We do see Luma and Claudette heal up, and no Unbreakable. 60 seconds over. Dark Wolf back on hook. And we do see potentially the other exit gate being opened. No, surprising.
They left.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's the right move here. It's going to mean that this match, for all intent purpose, is going to result in, relatively speaking, a draw. Maybe a few points in Forward Locker's favor due to hook progressions. But with this 6-hook 2K, the gap is going to be so small that it's going to be anyone's game next match. And let's see, did they have DS this time? And they did. They did choose to change it up, but
they kept balance landing though. Balance.
I mean, we see all 4 exhaustion perks here. We see sprint burst. We see dead hard. We see bounce landing.
I have a hate relationship with balance landing, and aside from when it actually works for me, and like I'm happy, and then I hate it because I still die.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Balance is great for those moments where you know there's going to be that elevation to work with, but otherwise it can be a bit of a double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah.
But I do believe Luma is going to be killing up next on Green Storehouse. And at the end of that match, Vega, what are the points?
The score is 101 to 93 in Four Dwight's One Locker's favor.
So 101 to 93. So it is quite literally a 8-point game. So yeah, it very much is anyone's game right now.
Anyone's game.
You know, if I was the killer at this point, get a hook, get the kill, reduce resources, because if at the very least Four Dwight's Locker ties this next round and wanting to cut it close, that is a 2K 6 hook or a 1K with 8 hooks, they would be able to still win on that very, very narrow margin.
Indeed.
So it's going to be interesting to see how Four Dwight's plays this match, and, you know, to see how it's going to end up and what killer they bring. You know, will they bring another S-tier killer potentially?
Yeah. So,
you know, we saw Freddy, we've seen Spirit, we've seen Nurse. If you were, I believe Luma will be playing, if I'm not mistaken, based on what I was told. If you were Luma, what would you be bringing to Groaning Storehouse? You know, would you be returning the favor with a Freddy? If they have Freddy available, would you be bringing a Blight, a Hag, what have you?
I'm not sure. Hag could be good on that map, but then again, that map, it's like, it's a small map, but it's not. So Hag can be good. I prefer Hag on Mines, even though it's a bigger map.
On Suffocation Pit, you mean?
Yeah.
I could see. I mean, you do have that dedicated one side of the map you kind of lock down, right? I'm trying to think here for Four Dwights. I could also see, I don't know if they brought a Twins yet. Twins could also be...
release the baby.
And remember, not a baby, they're a runt. Just because Twitch terms of service,
True.
so... you know...
Release the demon.
Yes, they can punt the runt, but...
Punt the runt.
Punt the runt. That's what my cuties say.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
So let's see if Luma is readying on up. I do believe I have him added. Perfect. And I will be bringing in Weekend Loop.
Last time we saw twins, they were just sliding.
They're sliding?
I can't forget that. Yeah, last time there was twins when I was commentating with you. When they were getting their last hook, they were sliding to the person on the ground.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Yep, you're right. Alrighty.
Dashy's looking very dapper.
A dapper Claudie.
Dapper Claudette's awaiting death.
So for those here in chat, I want to get your thoughts. You know, there's a 1 minute delay, so sorry if I can't respond right away, but what are your thoughts on what's going on here? If you were in Ford White's shoes, who would you think on bringing? Who do you think's gonna win this match? In fact, we have channel points nowadays. Let's see real quick. Can I set up a prediction maybe?
I believe you can. Yeah, if you guys were playing this, who would you pick for killer and why?
I'm going to do prediction, and we're going to do who will win. 4D1L versus We Can't Loop. And I'm going to give you guys, let's do a 5-minute timer. I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes for the prediction. So feel free to use your channel points now. If you guys also have some thoughts on what you guys want the channel point offerings to be, feel free to DM me them on Discord. I haven't really given it too much thought, so if you guys have some thoughts on what we could do for channel point rewards or offerings, let us know. I would be very interested to get you guys' thoughts. Looks like we already have 2K on Forward White's one locker. Someone really putting in those points, deciding that they're going to put it all on the line. And 1K on We Can't Loop. Right now, the score, Techno, is 101 to 93, an 8-point difference in 4-1 Locker's favor. So it is getting quite close, to say the least. And I believe we're still waiting on builds. I think that both sides are really thinking things through here on what they want to bring to the table. For a good reason, too. So, Fire Gems, I know that you've had prior comp experience. Do you think you'll ever throw your hat back in the ring?
I don't think I'm ever gonna throw my hat back in the ring. But I've learned I much prefer commentating with you and moderating tourneys than being in the shit show of a tournament. Like, tournaments, if you're actually playing in them, they're so stressful. You don't want to sleep. You just want to practice. You get stressed when you're doing your own match. You panic. Brains out the window when the match is going on.
I don't know why then. I truly enjoy it. Like, I don't stress over it at all. I'm playing pubs pretty much throughout the week, maybe a few practices here and there, and then just kind of throwing my hat in and playing, you know, someone random like Demogorgon. And that's one of the beautiful things about, like, I guess being a jack of all trades is that I can just bring in, like, anyone last moment and go, I feel Bubba right now. Let's play Bubba.
I do feel really bad. So last week, a killer came to my stream. And they said, "Hey, I'm practicing this killer. Good luck, have fun." And I was like, "Okay, I'll go easy on you." And they said, "No, I want you to try. I want you guys to try. I need to learn." And then it was a nurse, and they only downed me to know it at the end of the game, and I felt really bad. And at the end of the game, they were like, "You freaking rolled me," and I'm like, "I ran a nurse for 4 gens in a tournament. I'm sorry, little one."
Yeah, I mean, Nurse is rough, especially against survivors who know how to play against Nurse, because you play one of 3 game plans. It's like a game of ping pong. You go for that long-range blink, and the survivor just kind of goes back further in. You blink back, they go back the other way. And it's like a game of back and forth, and eventually, you know, you get kind of privy to that knowledge. You start doing those short mid-range blinks, you get those hits. And so survivors after that, just hold W.
Yeah. My favorite thing to do is blind Sightbreaker. And we're not doing that. If I see a nurse is blinking, I'll run at them. If I see them look down, I'll 360 get behind the nurse.
Yep. I mean, that's a play. I've also seen some cheeky plays with flashlights where someone will cut line of sight on nurse, and most nurses are going to go to the corner where they broke line of sight, and a survivor will be there prepped with a flashlight already shining where the nurse is going to be, locking them out of their second blink, fatigue them out, and gain distance.
I'm gonna be honest, that does work, but I personally don't recommend fatiguing a nurse.
Why is that?
Based on what I've seen, you could save your flashlight for something else. Like, maybe if you get a flashlight save later on. Because, yes, you'll fatigue the nurse, but it's not really as valuable because they're just going to get out of fatigue and they're just going to blink back to you. You could be making more distance than waiting around the corner fatiguing the nurse. You could also possibly lose the nurse within that time.
True. That is a fair point. It's a cheeky play. Actually, who was I playing against? I think it was Otofu. I was practicing.
I love Otofu.
I was practicing Nurse late at night, and it was off stream. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do some blood point farming. You know, it's late night. Usually it's pretty chill. And then I go into my lobby, and I'm like, is that Otofu? And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun, ain't it? So I am offline. I do an offline recording because, like, why am I not going to record a match against Otofu to put on YouTube? And so I was practicing my Nurse against them. It didn't go horribly. I think I got is either a 1k like 8 hook or like a 2k, and Otofu actually did that to me, and I actually learned that play because I played against Otofu. And that moment, like, oh, that's actually kind of cheeky. I was like, that was
It's
actually
very
really
cheeky.
really good.
I love Tofu. I played against Tofu. Back with PTB was a thing, and it was when the pallets were broken, and I went to pallet stun to get a pallet save on someone.
Yep.
Pallet didn't save on his stream. He was like, "What? That should have saved. I don't understand." And Pallet didn't save, and the person that I pallet saved disconnected.
Oof.
Endgame chat, Tofu added out that person's name and cussed them out in chat. Called them a little bitch, and then gave me props on his stream. He gave me a thumbs up.
Yeah, I will say, I've been seeing a lot of DCs lately. I'm really, like, as much as people can say, like, oh, it's so great that there's no DC penalty, like, I want DC penalty again. It's just so punishing when survivors, like,
It
you
was
down
back.
them.
But then they got rid of it again.
Yeah.
In, like,
They after the event, they put it back for, like, maybe an hour, and then they disabled it again. I'm like,
yeah,
well, that's great.
I'm still missing one person's build from We Can't Loop.
Yep, I believe Mr. Whatsatuya just joins. They
Okay,
obviously
cool.
are trying to get that build in once they're in lobby, so they don't accidentally change something last moment.
Yeah, didn't know that they like swapped out a player. Sorry.
All good, no worries. But Mr. Whatsatuya is now back in lobby, so I imagine that you'll receive their build momentarily. But yeah, so it's one of those things that you definitely can do. There's many ways to play around. I feel like a Nurse definitely would not expect that to come into play, and will definitely kind of throw them off a little bit, to say the least.
Another thing that'll throw a Nurse off is, don't recommend it. I really, really don't. But this saved my life in an actual match where I was playing. If you know a Nurse's blink distance, you can do pallet techs on Nurses.
Yes.
I have a clip on my Twitch of me pallet teching a Nurse while I'm injured. I stunned them last second and was screaming.
And those are some punishing moments for Nurse, when you get, not only do you get stunned, but you get stunned and then fatigued. Even worse if it's a second fatigue.
It was really, really good. I got the stun, and then I got fatigued after it, and I got distance, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm gonna die.
That is punishing, to say the least. So, PTB is about to end. Update's about to go live on Tuesday. A number of changes. Obviously, we saw Spirit today. One of the big changes coming down the pipe is the Strider nerf / Iron Will buff.
Oh my god, dude, Strider, you don't understand. Oh god.
So,
Strider.
What are your thoughts on that? I'm curious.
Oh, I'm so fucking glad, dude. You don't understand. You don't understand. Playing as Jane with tier 3 Iron Will. I can even go message Lolly to send you a clip from her stream. Lolly was playing Jane. Tier 3 Iron Will. Killer has Strider. She was moaning so loud that you could barely hear Lolly in her.
Yeah, unfortunately, some survivors are quite loud, to say the least, so...
And it's like, this is on top of Iron Will. Without Iron Will, it's even louder.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. There's Bill, there's Jane, there's Jeff, some really, really loud survivors. I always joke that if you're playing Bill, I can hear that freaking smoker's lung a mile away.
Yeah, Bill's pretty loud. But yeah, I still remember, I've played Jane without Iron Will with Strider, and it was back with old Auto.
All right, we are looking good.
Awesome. I'll give them the go-ahead, and we'll get this last match started.
But yeah, so I was back on Old Autohaven. I was playing Jane without Iron Will, and there was Strider in play. My friend Calico asked if I was injured from across the map, but when I said yes, they were like, "You're echoing a little bit."
So with this happening, obviously, you sound to be pretty happy with the Strider nerf / Iron Will buff, because it's no longer additive, it's multiplicative, and where Iron Will brings you down to 0, Strider's not going to be able to multiply it up to 50. So, on one hand, it's going to be interesting to see if Strider will be used at all anymore, and because of that, if we'll see a downtick in Iron Will usage as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious to see what comes out of the buff and nerf and how useful those perks will be in the long run.
I do know Iron Will is still so good. I love Iron Will.
It is. I will say, do need to disagree with a very popular content creator. Not the best non-exhaustion perk in the game. For those who are privy to that, there's been some talk of Iron Will being the best perk, non-exhaustion perk in the game, and I will outright say, absolutely not. That is reserved for BT.
You know, no. The best non-exhaustion perk in the game is No Mither, obviously.
Okay. Sure. I mean, this coming from you who's full of memes, so I can see that.
You watched me do a little Mither and down for you.
Oh, yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah, in my opinion, in all seriousness, BT, 100%, without a doubt, best non-exhaustion perk in the game.
Being serious though, bar time is amazing. I love BT.
Especially with the
buff.
buff.
And I loved the BT buff. When the BT buff came out, I was like, DM. Yo, guys, we're all running bar time now.
No, it's significant. No doubt about that. It is very, very powerful now, and it's why that I definitely am happy that we limited borrow time. But just like how I expected, it was the question of the day when we're doing polls was 2BT or 2DS, and everyone said 2BT. I'm like, I'm surprised because the killer's just going to wait out 12 seconds and redown, and we've seen that this match here where the killer's gone, I don't care if you have BT, I'm just going to follow you and down you.
It's like, oh, where are we going? We're going on a date.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's go on a stroll. You know, it'll last 12 seconds, but it'll be a stroll.
Let's go on a stroll. Oh, well, you see, I'm actually late to an appointment. I gotta go.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm curious. I'm going to probably run a poll again for Season 1, whether or not we want to move to 2DS instead and 1BT, because I think that based on what we're seeing from these later rounds of S0, that the play is to just wait out the BT. And I think instead of doing that, you might just want to have DS in hand instead. And the killer then has to make a 50-50 choice to eat a DS or to not eat a DS.
Okay, but like, this would be a terrible tourney build, but I just want to see it in the tournament, just for like a troll match. Just because I really like it. It's, you do Decisive Strike, you bring in a Firecracker, you do Flashbang, Quick and Quiet, and Head On.
That would be definitely cheeky, but I do want to point out here real quick, we are here again with another Spirit.
Not with Fancy Nails, though.
This is true, no Fancy Nails this time around, but Spirit nonetheless, you know, with or without Fancy Nails, Spirit can get the job done. And we see them getting a bit tripped up here. I think, and I can't say for certain, but if they were on, you know, clear comms and were making that right play, I think they purposely left those tracks there to divert the Spirit's attention.
I think so.
It's hard to say whether or not that it's purposeful or not, but it definitely seemed that way to me at first glance. And so I think that was a really smart play to take that body block, ensure they didn't get that quick first down. And Spirit here has a really, really good Corrupt Intervention, as both their pockets are currently closed off. They have these active gens in the middle area. I mean, they are in a very, very strong position, to say the least. What I am surprised of, however, is not to see Ruin.
Yeah, it's corrupt, but like, I feel like Ruin would be good with this build.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, Ruin is just a very good early game perk because it forces survivors in the instance based on your build to either commit to hunting down Ruin or to not. I mean, to be fair, I will mention this is a Macmillan map and the totem spawns are god-awful, don't get me wrong, but still, it is quite shocking not to see them play.
I want to say there was another gen that was tinkered. Or I'd just be going crazy.
Yeah, there was a gen that was tinkered. It looked like Spirit opted not to go for it and instead to pop that gen.
Okay, I was going insane for a second.
No, they very consciously made a decision not to go for that gen. I am surprised that they didn't, since they had pop in hand.
Yeah, it threw me off because it's like you could like not get a gen done.
Yeah, maybe they're just thinking, okay, you know, I'm gonna lose that. They're probably doubled up on the gen. You know, I'll just pop this one and ensure I get pop value rather than losing out on it instead. That'd be my only thought process there.
This ace looks like Willy Wonka, and I can't even see it.
You know, I can kind of see it. I can see it. You know, give him the purple top hat, what have you. But we do see BT on Ace, and if I had to bet with a BT user coming in for that first unhook, you want to bet that Chicken Pickle probably has Deliverance. What the rest of their build is, yet to be determined, but unfortunately, with 3 survivors injured, a very quick and easy down on the Lori just through happenstance.
Did I just see a flashlight click?
No, that was Tink going off in the background, and that seems to be main building. The question is whether or not Spirit will get there in time if she walks versus phase walks. But it looks like they did leave a bit early, and so Spirit will end up getting the pop goes the Weasel.
That's rough, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, that gets it below 70% again. You know, that takes 20 seconds off the gen. And, you know, I think Spirit's...
And more, because they're not going to instantly get on it.
Yep, absolutely. So I think that, you know, Spirit's probably going to hang out here in their back gens. Of course, they did lose one of these, you know, warehouse gens, which is kind of rough, all things considered. Like we were talking about earlier with Grading Storehouse, a lot of times you kind of want to, you know, give up the pocket gens and make sure that you keep these back here, and honestly, not the case this time round.
Indeed. I really thought she got in a locker. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I mean, honestly, if I was them, I might try and just bait whether or not I have DS, right? See if Luma will take that risk, but...
Get stamped.
It looks like instead they did have DS indeed, and it does result in Spirit being in a bit of a position here where I think they almost lost Lori.
Oh.
And are probably going to lose a gen in this instance.
It's parts like that which are why I like Dead Hard. Because if Lori had Dead Hard, she could have gotten it. She could have Dead Harded, made that killer way.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Definitely would have gotten the Dead Hard in the long run. Would that have mattered? You know, at the end of the day, 2 gens still popped. It
could have given them more time.
True, true. I'm not going to disagree there, but these survivors doing a really good job of getting these gens done. That is
because
one...
they could have possibly gotten that gen that got popped done.
True, true. You know, definitely would have kept some pressure going on that generator. And I think the right move for these survivors with 2 gens left, they have 1 gen in the pocket, 1 gen in that back corner, 1 gen on the side of, you know, hill there near Shack. I think they just jump on pocket, jump on that gen, let Iverson go and get at least a 3-man out, you're in a good position. I think they do know, though, that they can't get the 2-man out. If they get the 2-man out, then I think the win will still go to 4 Deaths 1 Locker here.
And then they know that Lori doesn't have decisive, so they're just gonna go eat Lori's cheeks real fast.
Yeah.
Lori.
I mean, that is the right play here with DS already being out of play. And that tells me that, you know, there should be someone trying to get in front and take a body block.
Oh, ooh. No! Oh my god, my heart!
That was a close one right there.
Oh, I would have kept running, made that another loop, and then used that pallet. Oh my god, she was a heart attack. Oh my god, Lori.
Now that was a very good play, very close one. They almost got blocked out of the animation, and if that would have happened, they would have been dead to rights.
Yeah, this was like, oh my god, Lori.
But instead,
because with that whiff, you could have gotten back around, maybe held it, and then threw down that pallet. Oh man, my heart.
Instead, there though, we did see Claudette. Her tracks actually slipping the Spirit up, and then once again, Ace just kind of hanging around Lori here, and then doing a really good job of keeping their attention. And now Spirit has to make a choice: go for the gen or don't. And they don't have any passive regression, so they need a down here to try and get that gen below 70.
Yeah, I'm just walking away.
Now, I'm curious why... Okay, so going for the pallet makes sense. I think at this point, they're going for the down on Lori. Cutting it close there.
Good.
Really cutting it close, and Chicken Pickle...
Pallet when you have a human pallet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hey, if it works, it works. And I think, honestly, Chicken Pickle taking aggro here is the smart play for obvious reasons.
I think Chicken Pickle has Deliverance, so he doesn't care.
Well, so who has Deliverance? We see Claudette playing a dangerous game, too. Do we think Chicken Pickle has Deliverance?
Chicken Pickle has Borrowed Time, so I feel like...
There's 2 borrowed times here, so I feel like Claudette has Borrowed Time. I feel like Chicken Pickle has Borrowed Time. The question is, which one has Deliverance?
I don't know, I feel like with that kind of Ace face, you'd have Deliverance.
That's fair, that's fair. And I will say here, if you look at these gens, Spirit's in a world of hurt. There is 1 pocket gen, 1 gen near Shack, and 1 gen on the other side of main building. this Spirit, no matter what, is going to lose this last gen. There's almost
this is
a guarantee.
not a Spirit map.
I mean, it's honestly, any map is a Spirit map, but this map here, we have seen the Survivors just play a really good match, ensuring that Luma does not get the first Survivor on hook out of the match as soon as possible. And so I think they just done an amazing job of, you know, playing to their outs. And I think they're going to probably see a Tink play in that Pocket Gen coming up here in a few seconds, and probably the Gen over by Shaq too.
I would not be surprised.
And if we see both Tinks go off, I mean, I'm guessing Chicken Pickle probably goes to Deliverance in another few seconds. If they go to second stage, we know who has Deliverance. And I think I was right. I think it was Claudette.
It may be.
Yeah, because we saw Chicken Pickle go...
I think Chicken Pickle's just a very ballsy, very altruistic person.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, that's the thing that you have to kind of bait out. And I think, you know, pushing that second stage for the gens, it makes sense. I am shocked to have seen 3 people in that one gen, though, where if they would have had 2 people in that one gen, 1 person on Pocket Gen, I think at this point in time they would have had that last gen done and out. So I don't know if they made the right play here, gen-wise. Because Lori's back in chase, 3 people injured, 2 people now that are starting to get heal underneath that hook.
Lori is no longer in chase, though, because Lori went to the left and they went to this gen.
Yeah. Man, I'm shocked that I'm not seeing more survivors on that that Pocket Gen. It's just so out of the way. Very
I would
nice
honestly
360.
be tucked in that back left area, just minding my own business. Like, oh, my friends are dying, it's fine, I'm going to gen.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is the play in my opinion. It's just so out of the way that we have not seen Spirit Patrol there at all in quite some time. And we just see them really committing to this one gen.
So good. Get on the back gen.
I don't know.
Please,
I think they're misplaying this. I think that if they continue with this line right now, it's going to...
What they should do is the generator that they're doing. Do that one, yes. But someone get your ass on that back gen. Do that gen and pressure both of them. They're so far away that they're not going to be able to get to both of them with Tinker. Just please separate your Jennies.
And so they finally did. We see Pop go off here. We see a second Tinker going off. They only have 8 seconds at this point in time to get there with a power not up as of yet. So if there's 2 people there, they are guaranteed to get it. They could even take a hit. Make sure you don't get grabbed, of course. And we do see scratch marks going off the distance, and oh, you gotta be joking me.
Good tracking.
It was Claudette on that gen by herself.
I'm not surprised.
Okay, so it's gonna come down to this. I mean, at the end of the day, if Luma is able to get 1 more hook, I'm pretty sure that will tie up the game on a 8 hook 2K, or 8 hook 1K. And so even if they make this escape, 4 Dwights might walk away with the win. This is going to be a really tough map, endgame here, especially if these exit gates so close together.
And especially if Claudette's on. It doesn't look like she's the one. Okay, Ace is going for the door. I think Claudette might have Deliverance, or both of us may have just gotten debated. No one has it.
I would be shocked if no one has Deliverance. Deliverance is just a strong
You and I just both get debated, and we're just like, well, okay.
Alright, well, let's find out momentarily, as, you know, we do see their timer coming to an end. They probably have about maybe 10 seconds. We do hear that other exit gate go off. We see Ace coming in, and I think they're doing this purposely because Ace has DS, but Claudette's in the back of the train. Ace needs to get between the 2 of them, and there's no way you're going to make that work. Luma hitting too early. You could have waited. Luma cracking under pressure, and I don't know, this is going to be close. The points are going to probably be single digits between the 2 teams.
It's going to be very close. I do think.
And you are very right.
So at the end of that match,
barely won.
What?
But I'm not sure.
I think we can't loop by like 3 points. I'm going to say 3 points. Between 3 to 5 points.
I'm going to
By
say
a single win, or a single point.
A single point.
Loop. Yep, we can outloop 131 to 4 Dwights 1 locker with 130.
Wow. Wait, so 131 to 4 Dwights 1 locker?
We can't loop.
We can't look. Okay, I was about to say, hold on 1 second.
They are no longer undefeated.
Yeah, so for Dwight's losing by 1 point there. If Luma had waited just maybe 3 more seconds. 3 more seconds. Like, she was in Claudette's back. She had all the time in the world. There's no way for them to get a body block at that point. If Luma had waited just a little bit longer, that would have resulted in their win. I understand that feeling, and so I can understand that Luma's probably kicking themselves there, but really amazing job to both teams.
Yeah, they needed, like, I think they only needed 2 more seconds, actually.
It's something in a single digits at that point, if they just had been a little bit more patient.
I would have honestly waited until they were halfway into that jungle gym, and then I would have swapped.
I mean, I can understand why they are worried, because as they are able to make a turn, then they're able to get that body block, but literally 1 point between the two teams. Amazing jobs on both sides, and a GG well played to Fordos and Locker, and we can't loop.
Killer, like, really well played. I'm impressed. That was good to watch.
No, absolutely. It was a very, very entertaining match. It was hard fought on both sides. I mean, we saw 2 Spirits, a Nurse, and a Freddy. You know, we saw 3 S tiers, 1 A tier. I mean, they both were bringing out the big guns and trying to get the W here for sure.
That Freddy, though. I'm sorry. I see Freddy and Nurse, and it just brings me back to, like, Vietnam flashbacks of my tournament.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, with that being said, that is our first set of matches for the 6th round of Champions of the Fog. We do have a 10 p.m. match tonight, which is going to be hosted by Vile Vega, so definitely keep an eye out for that link. But we'll be ending the stream here. Fire Gems, if our viewers here were wanting to come on by and say hi over on your stream, where could they find you?
They can find me on twitch.tv/firegems, FIREJEMZ, and I will also be commentating tonight with Vega.
Awesome. And as always, I am your commissioner, Guildspire. I also stream over on twitch.tv/Guildspire. That is GILTSPIRE. Thank you all for being here today. I do appreciate it. And we will see you next Saturday for another match of Champions of the Fog. Bye-bye!